Hello and welcome to the podcast where we talk about all things WeissTeaTime and chill with friends. My name is Liam and today we are joined by the one and only WeissTeaTime Avis coming away from Europe. But before we get started, if you haven't already, please make sure you consider subscribing to the YouTube channel or following on the Spotify. And as well as that, if you enjoy this sort of thing, make sure you hit that like button. But as said, we have got the fantastic Avis on the line. Avis, hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be back again.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Yeah, because we for those that don't know, we actually did episode 1 of season 1 and we had Avis on. Unfortunately, when I recorded it and I tried to put it into like just an audio file, it kind of broke a little bit. So the audio quality was terrible. But we've got it better this time. But for those that missed that first episode or couldn't listen to it because of how bad the audio was, Avis is the creator of WeissTeaTime, which is a WeissTeaTime blog channel, I guess is the best way of putting it, where we see a lot of things about Japanese spoilers and translations. We see a lot of things about tournament data sets and things like that. At the moment, obviously, you've got the BCS 2023 stuff going live at the moment with your first data set coming in. But obviously, you've done all of Spring Fests, you've done Bros, and you're just an awesome person as part of the European community.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice.
I think that covers everything about yourself, right?
Yeah, pretty much everything Weiss related, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess jumping straight into WeissTeaTime, what the thing that you've worked on for what 6 years now? It's been a while.
I think I'm pretty sure I started it in 2016. That makes sense. Yeah,
So
I think
6-7
it's 2016.
years.
Yeah. We're going up on 7 years. Like, damn, it's been a while.
It just yeah. And I mean, I guess the first question is why WeissTeaTime? Why did it ever become a thing in the first place?
It's like there's like two different answers to this depending on how you interpret. It's like, what were the circumstances, or just why the hell would you do this, right? And in the circumstances part is that I was like already doing some writing for some store that was like doing Weiss, and then they stopped doing Weiss, and the owner was like, I can like export you the stuff you've written, not stuff of any quality, mind you. Just like I can export you the stuff you've written if you want to have it, but like we won't have the Weiss blog because we're not gonna carry Weiss anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, sure. My grabby hands were all over my precious little writing, and I was like, okay, but like this was kind of fun. This was kind of fun. I did things. I looked at cards that I wouldn't otherwise. I was, I wanted to like kind of keep doing that, and I figured like opening a WordPress blog, just like that costs me nothing. I can just put everything there, keep doing this in like some capacity, put like a link on Facebook whenever I make something. It's just gonna be a thing. Yeah. As for like why would I do this is like I'm a maker, not necessarily in the physical realm, but like I like making stuff, I like creating stuff, and writing specifically. That's like always been like my thing. So I feel like a lot of the early years were just like fueled with my passion for creating, my passion for writing. Because if it were about like the quality of the product, I don't think I would have.
No, I respect that. It's like, again, I relate to that in the sense of the stuff I do on Weiss and Chill. I do it because I just love creating things and I love being able to engage a community and look into things that people wouldn't look into otherwise, and I think that's quite exciting, and to facilitate for a community is lovely as well. So you and I sound very similar in the sense of, obviously, apart from the fact that you are much longer going than I am, very similar reasons as to why we wanted to start. And then obviously, I guess going into what WeissTeaTime actually provides, like we said, it does Japanese translations and spoilers. It also does obviously the data sets and the tournament data for all the official tournaments. And you did a little bit of like a kind of like what was called Weiss-plaining, which is all about explaining certain things about the game. Certain jargon. I think what you did one as well about looking for certain things on a Japanese card to know that this is opponent, this is hand, like looking for the key kanji.
I think that was mostly like the brainstorms. I was trying to explain to people why the thing that says on the brainstorms, it's not actually what it says in English, that they're all misprinted, and like you have to, the cards go in a different place.
Yes, the idea of where it's flipping over and it goes into a resolution zone, which originally that was never a thing until it got changed to flip over versus reveal, because reveal was not reveal. Yes, so again, like it was you and that blog that spoke about that actually highlighted that to a lot of people that wouldn't have otherwise realized. So I guess in that sense, why did you choose to start writing about that type of content specifically?
I feel like it was kind of part of me like giving back to the community, right? And part of me was just me being like very pedantic and like very annoyed at having to like type this out over and over and over and over and over again. But specifically, it was the typing it out in the Discords, because by the Weiss planning started in like 21, I think. That was by that time.
I thought it was earlier than that. It was before COVID, wasn't it?
I don't know. Wait, yeah. I think
it must have been 2018, 2019.
Then it was 19, because I remember it was when we came back from a Springfest. Right, yeah, you're right.
That's right, yeah.
What is time?
We've lost 3 years of it, let's be honest. The whole world has lost 3 years.
Yeah, that wasn't right. Yeah, the Madoka was 2021. That was another big thing. But yeah, Weiss planning was 2019. And yeah, my point being basically by then a lot of the Weiss discussions were just going on in like the Discords. And there's this like thing, like I have an academic background in social informatics. My specific interest is a lot of how different subcultures on the internet contributed to the development of the web as we know it today.
Okay.
And a lot of what I'm interested in is like the communities and the resources that help create this pool of knowledge that we know as and like interact with on a daily basis today. And there is this interesting phenomenon where a lot of these things in the past years are just starting to disappear from public access, disappear from being able to be archived, because it's all moving to private communities. It's all moving to chats. It's all moving to things that get deleted or can't be accessed, to things that can be indexed and can't be searched. Right?
Sure.
And when I got into the game, right, I went to Reddit and I got to the WeissTeaTime subreddit, and every rule problem I encountered was answered there. I pretty much owe like my entire first year of playing Weiss and learning everything. It was just Shizukats all the way.
Oh, Shizu,
yeah. And we didn't even like know each other in any capacity back then. He just answered everything. And these same people who are doing that, they still do this now, but a lot of it is just because the community moved to these private things. And it's just this, I don't think someone should have to be in a Discord for a thing to be able to access relevant information. And I think it should be searchable. I think it should be archived. I think this, this kind of content should be easily accessible in a way that everyone can find it, in a way that's like stored, that won't be in danger of disappearing. I mean, okay, everything's in danger of disappearing,
Yeah, sure. It's
depending how you look at it, but a bit more of security, right? So that's why I started like doing a lot of this archival stuff. That's basically because for Weiss planning particularly, a lot of it can be like answered with yes, and here's a link. Read that when
exactly.
All the time understand this. Like it was never meant to like replace this conversation, right? Because a lot of times they're just asking something. It's a yes or no question in the middle of a game. You need that information. But if you get to read something after that game, it can like save you having to ask 7 more different questions that are all based on that thing, because that's how Weiss works. Once you understand a couple things, once I began to understand check timings, just shit got so much easier. It was a whole new world.
It's funny because I think one of the biggest things I always get asked about, again as a judge, is this certain timing, when do these things resolve? When do I get the chance to resolve this thing? I was like, okay, when's your check timing? It's always the question, when's your check timing? As soon as you know when your check timing is, easy. Like, that is probably the hardest thing to master in Weiss. Yeah. To understand check timings, when they happen, and when you get the opportunity to respond, and in what order it resolves, like in terms of like player base, like turn player versus non-turn player, and you know.
When I was writing specific Weiss planning on check timings and play timings and whatnot, the initial idea was something completely different. I don't even remember what it was. I started writing it, and then I I came out of that writing session. Went to the kitchen, I got a drink, and I was like, yes. I don't actually understand this myself. I need to start reading. Yeah. I need to and so then it became this whole big thing, and I still read it through it sometimes, you know, just to make sure I'm still up to date and remembering everything. It's just and I feel like, you know, I had lofty hopes that like maybe some people will get to benefit from being able to link this instead of having to type out things anyway. And now it's gone like past that. Now sometimes I see questions on Reddit, and then like some other users link that like a couple hours after the question's been posted, and then like the original poster comes back and they're like, oh yeah, I actually just found that after asking this. And I'm just like, job done.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want. That's like from what you're saying. Like, to have that data accessible in the public domain, that's exactly what you want. So the fact that someone was able to do that, you've literally done what you've wanted to set out to do. So
and I'm so proud of it. And like, I haven't really written anything new for Weiss planning recently. It's just been like updating, adding shit to like the old entries. But I do have other stuff lined up. It's just like, it's probably the most tedious content to make, because you have to really sit down, and then every word matters, and all the established player lingo and assumptions have to go out the window. So you're basically like cosplaying as like a new Weiss player for like 3 hours.
And because when I first started Weiss and Chill, I had my Weiss and Chill Academy where I spoke about certain jargon, like obviously talking what's a Ricky, what does heal actually mean, and what does that mean for you in your game state. It's all good saying, oh, I heal, but what does that mean? And going through some keywords. I think I did about 2 or 3 episodes of that, and I actually stopped because I was at a time where I was just not doing many videos. And I'm like, oh, I should really start it again. But then I've had all this other exciting stuff that's come through. I'm like, when am I going to start this again? I really want to, because again, I want to educate the community. I want to provide that, again, that open source file, whether it be a video or a text file, where you can go, fantastic, this is what we've got, this is how you do it. Great. Like I'm going to be starting. I am going to be starting some things. So I had a few questions regarding like specific scenarios, and I've done like an example judge test where I'm going to be doing videos explaining rulings and things like that, and how things work and as to why they work. But I want to do certain, like maybe like YouTube shorts where it's like going through certain scenarios of, oh, you stand by over something. What is the actual resolution of stand buying over something? Because some people don't realize certain things, which I'm not going to disclose yet, because by the time this episode's out, there is still my judge test that is still to be answered. So I'm not going to give spoilers there. But it's a very, very interesting interaction. For example, when you stand by during a double trigger as you go into a refresh state. That whole scenario is so confusing, but if you read the rules, it makes sense.
That's the thing, because, you know, as I started, I was like, I know exactly the rules, but like to apply them right now, I was just like, my brain started, and I was like, no, we're not gonna, because we're gonna get another question in like the next 3 minutes, and we're gonna be halfway in another compartment by then.
But it's interesting. Again, it's just interesting to see that relation, and you know how your inspiration for wanting to do this is to educate new players, educate current players, educate experienced players that might not have even thought about a certain scenario, which is what I found with this recent judge test. There are certain things when people have been answering it, and a couple of people have gone something wrong, I never thought of it that way, and like, that's why I do this, because it makes you think about it that way, and it makes you a better player, and it stops you making mistakes where if someone calls you out, you go, okay. So anyway, I guess moving on from, so again, you've been a long-standing content creator, but in terms of the more written form, obviously you don't do video content, you don't do stream content, you are purely written on the blog. Obviously you are a massive commenter on community posts and things like that on the Discord and things like that. You're massively involved in the community. And obviously that's been acknowledged. Part of what you do, obviously, you've had affiliation and content stuff through directly with Bushiroad. Obviously, you've had, I think the recent one you did was Avatar and Attack on Titan reveals.
Yeah, those were the trial decks reviews I got to make.
Which is amazing, and I myself am working towards that point of trying to get on Bushy's radar as such. And we've got some things lined up where that might be happening soon. We'll see. But
we'll see.
Things are lining up quite nicely. But I guess on your end, like, obviously, because Bushiroad would have first reached out to you, what, 2-3 years ago?
Again, what is time and when was the when was Attack on Titan final season released? No, wait, actually, that was 2020.
Yeah,
that was a year ago. That was when they reached out to me and they said if I would be interested in making this, and I obviously I never discussed this with them, but they crashed the party big time. Because that was like the summer when I was like planning to redesign my website, because I had the time, I had the plans, I had everything. I want some time, and and I was like, we're not gonna be in the circuit, nothing's gonna be happening. Foreshadowing. It's like, a lesser amount of people will be shocked, as if while everything looks different, I can announce it, and then by the time BCS post goes back up, people will be used to it, right? And then they're like, hey, we would like this article published at the end of July. And I was like, okay. Obviously, okay, great, perfect, fine. We can make arrangement on the under the surface. Just shit. What do I do now? And in the end, I decided that obviously they wanted to preview the article for the licensors as well.
Of course.
So I did not want to have to go, because some of the way that I inserted images and tables, some of that is still messed up on some of the older posts, because it's just I can make it look nice now that I have a control over it, but before, just the transition is tedious. I maybe do one post a month when I feel updating it. So I was like, okay, we're gonna put this article on in the old layout, and then we're gonna run it for a couple days. As it patters out, then I'm gonna start doing the updates. That was what I decided to do. I think it worked out fine, but it was kind of funny because part of that was also a logo change. The old logo just used the actual Weiss text.
Yes, it did.
The new one doesn't. And that I did get questions did they copyright you? Did you have to is that part of the? I was like, no. It was just a coincidence. I was going to do that anyway.
No, it's funny because so obviously I recently did this skill issue merch, and it's it's all my own thing, blah blah blah, and I actually got reached out and said, oh, just as a little thing, do you mind just putting a little disclaimer saying that it is not linked to Bushiroad anyway? I was like, that's fine, I'm okay to do this.
Oh, okay, so that is
I actually got reached out by Bushiroad to say, oh, just we know it's not, and we know you're fine with it, but we just want to make sure it's absolutely clear to everyone that looks at this. I'm like, no, that's absolutely fine. That's nice. No problem. So I'm glad they reached out rather than just go, no, ban hammer. So it's good of them that they reached out, and, I really appreciated that.
That's nice of them, yeah.
So, yes, it's I can imagine that communication with Bushiroad can be interesting at the best of times. I know, again, trying to sort out things like erratas, trying to sort out, I don't know, restriction list updates, or getting updates on cards coming out, things like that. Sometimes things can be a little slow, but I know they're a small team, so it is what it is. But I guess from your end, I assume, obviously you had links to Avatar and you've had links to Attack on Titan. I would assume that, obviously, without confirming whether or not you have got something lined up already in the future, I assume that if you were offered, you would be likely to take that.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't have a reason not to do it. I was pretty happy with the last the last iteration that we did, because it was in their newsletter, right?
Yes.
And my credit didn't come until the bottom, right?
Yes.
And as they went out, and like I didn't really like I knew it was the time that it would go out, but I didn't know that the newsletter was technically sent out before the social media post. So when people were starting to talk about the previews in like the Discord, I was like not caught up with everything. And I was just scrolling back. I was like, oh, what's happening? And then I see there's one of the Austrian guys is like commenting, oh, this looks like something Avis would write. And I was just there like, huh? And then someone else said, because she did, right?
I think that might have actually been myself. I actually said, someone said, that looks like WeissTeaTime. Like, if you scroll to the bottom, it literally says from WeissTeaTime the link, and I was like, I remember mentioning,
yeah, maybe it was Dario. I'm not sure.
It might have been Dario, yeah.
Like basically, just at that point, like I felt like so happy because again, writing and like, styles and expressions and, writing something good is already like a massive achievement. Writing something that people want to read is like way above that. But then like writing something that can be recognized as yours is
without even seeing, oh, the author is so-and-so, the people have read it and gone, oh, I know that's Avis' style of writing. Like, that's massive. Like, to be recognized like that must be such a great feeling.
It is.
So, it's, there are certain things where, again, I've been doing my tournaments and people go, oh, this has been run like a tournament like Liam does. I'm like, oh, great. I'm glad people are starting to recognize my style, I guess, which is nice. And, talking of your style, one of the big things that you do as well now is obviously your collaboration with Strictly Broken TCG and the best set review show that you do. Obviously, that's mainly on the Japanese set or Japanese releases and then English exclusive releases, rather than like doing, oh, here's one for Japanese, oh, here's one for English as well, even though we've already done it in Japanese. Like they're very clever about it. Like Jason's a really great guy. As is, I can't remember, it's mainly Jason I spoke with. It was Jason and Kevin, wasn't it? I think. Yeah. And they're both really, really great. And so I was on there for the it was the Project Sekai one, and that was really, really fun, really, really great. I guess, like, again, did they reach out to you regarding that, or did you reach to them and say, oh, this would be a really cool idea, would you like to do this? Like, how did that work?
This was basically, Yue was the one who started it. That was like, I think that was on the cusp of the year when he started to like make some more content again for Weiss. And it was also when the global Facebook community daily translations kind of stopped because like Randall was taking a break, deservedly. And so Yue was under the misconception that, like, under the misguided impression that I was doing my own translations instead of just copying. And, so, like, we cleared that up because that's why he reached out to me, if I'd be interested. And then we cleared that up, and then Kevin started sorting the translations, and he was already on their team anyway, so, worked out. So my thing was basically... like after it was very clear that I would not be the translation provider, it was kind of like, I can do slides, because like obviously graphics are kind of like, I occasionally flirt with them a little bit. To varying degrees of success, but I dabble in that area a little bit. So I offered that because that was like a crunch. My question was, that was like right before the weekend before Alicization 2 came out in Japanese. Sword Art Online. And I was like, yeah, sure. What set would you want to start this with? I can figure something out. And he was like, yeah, basically we want to do the one tomorrow. Which I really appreciate this kind of work, like, because me, that short of a turnaround time, never, not in a million years. I plan shit out for months, never. So it's like, But if someone else is like doing and if I just like get like, we are running, are you running? And I'm like, I can run alongside a project that's like differently paced than like how I would pace my stuff. And so that's been like really interesting for me. And then it was basically, I just like threw myself into, helping make this like a good thing. Because I thought of like what other, what other set reviews were there, top tiers used to like do them. I don't know if they still do, occasionally, sometimes. And I was like, obviously no shade to their well-known blue background and slides, but I was just looking at this as like a base model, and I was like, how can I improve this? How can I make this a graphical thing that's like nice to look at, that is a product in and of itself, a piece of content, but also that does not kill me when I have to input things.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I basically, as I was making those first slides, I was like, they were not like the final form. I still like fixed some things around.
Yeah.
It still takes like way too much time. I like tried some automatic importing of things, and it just like, there's always something slightly different about some set or some card. And it just, you can't automate this and have it look consistent and good, because something's gonna break this. And if I want to automate things, I want them to just run. I don't want them to automate and then like I still spend like half the time fixing it. Like, no thanks, I'll just do it myself at that point.
Yeah, and that's fair enough.
So like, yeah, and it's just like, I also like do the thumbnails for I recently just like changed the design for that, because I was looking at that and I was like, okay, so this is like the basis of a design. I did this in like an hour that we had left before like the episode went up. I can like, it's been 2 years. I can improve that.
yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, no, so like, it's one of those things where I think that those set reviews are really, really good. So I tried my hands at my own set review, and like you said, it takes so much time to set it up. And when it got to the point where, because I focused on the English format, so I never did the Japanese releases. I only did it when it came out in English, and then obviously spoke about it in relation to the English meta, the English game, blah, blah, blah. But even then, there was a point where, again, in the English format, Bushiroad were releasing sets every 2 weeks. And I'm like, I can't keep up with this. Once a month, fine, I can do that. Once every 2 weeks, not happening. The Bushiroad, slow down, please.
yeah. This year especially, it's been a lot for Japanese as well, because you had premium boosters and like extra boosters, and they just
yeah, of course. Yeah, you just had Dengeki. You would have just had JoJo. You got the Shana stuff that's just happened. You've also got King of Fighters coming out very, very soon.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I haven't seen yet. There was something in the group that I haven't checked. I don't know if we'll be doing King of Fighters, because it's like just retrains and reprints. And like, yeah, we are also just like now looking at some things, and depending on like interest, like obviously the real sets get done, but like stuff like, I know the Kappa, the premium booster or whatever that was.
Yeah, where it's just reprints, bar 1 or 2 cards. Like, yeah,
we just skip that. Wasn't anything worth looking at, because you have to like pace yourself.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
Content.
Yeah, so I hope to try and do the English ones again at some point, but it's just finding the time to do it with everything else going on at the moment. It's been a bit crazy, so we'll see how it goes, and if there are enough people that want to see it, sure, I'll figure it out. Right, I realise that we are very close to time. So what I wanted to just ask before you go is obviously finally about WeissTeaTime, and what sort of things, if you're allowed to disclose, have you got planned for the future? Are you basically going to be keeping on that same steady train for WeissTeaTime, or have you got some new things lined up in the future?
Nothing particularly new that I'm thinking about right now. I feel like I still want to figure out what the format going forward will be for these regional posts, right?
Yes.
Because that takes up the majority of not just like time in terms of like every day or every week, but just like the majority of what my mind is orientated on.
Yes.
I feel like I'm just like taking a break in between the competitive seasons. Though BCS is like usually a bit more, because there's like a third less decks, and like people usually are more engaged in the community. Springfest is insane, but I feel like I'm, specifically because I know it's insane, I'm then like more involved with like hounding people down, so then I get more decks.
Yep.
Sometimes in the autumn season it's also like a more busier part of the year for me in other aspects, so sometimes I just can't afford it. So it's like if the decks come, the decks will be up. If the decks don't come, my sincere condolences. I cannot do magic.
Yep, exactly, and that's it. Is it's like even like I understand that the workload in the sense obviously from judging Springfest compared to judging BCS is literally 3 times more work, because when you do your top 8 deck checks, you've got 3 or 4 judges at most, and you've got 24 decks to check. In BCS, you've only got 8, and you can literally just crack on with those. You can do a proper really fine tooth comb. Whereas obviously in Springfest, you're limited on your time, so you've got to be quick. You've got to be so quick, which is not easy. So from that side of things, I can imagine again from a data perspective that again it's 3 times more data. Whilst you can use the same templates, and then even then, it's a matter of these are your top performing decks, but actually you got to think that it could have been more if they were allowed to play sets of the same thing. So it's not a true representation. Your true representation comes in at BCS. You've got to take the data with a pinch of salt, and
even BCS doesn't have every set legal at every location, so you gotta account for that.
Yeah.
And then you just either you do 1 chart with 7 asterisks below, or you do 3 charts and then 2 asterisks, and you're just you get what you get,
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's because we've looked at, I think I've looked at your data before, where you've actually shown your raw data and how you work things out, and I'm sitting there going, it's not that I hadn't thought about the data, because I work in data myself, and it's not that I hadn't thought about it in that way, but I was like, the effort to go in to make those considerations work is just a pain in the backside.
Yeah, it is. It's, at some point I just gotta ask, what is it? What do people want to know? What is important for them? How do I convey that thing, right? Because all of you could pull so many charts out of this shit.
Oh yeah.
Most of it doesn't really say anything, and effectively communicating the data is another thing that I think I can improve of. Especially, I want to automate this. On the spreadsheet that you showed us, it's all manual for the most part. I want to automate the charts on that. Because right now they're not, but right now I feel like I have fallen into the system that I'm doing this for a second year in a row. I think I can now try to extrapolate after this BCS season. I will be able to start automating some stuff and assume that I won't have another revelation of how best to format just the raw input. Because I think I got it now, so I can start working on that. Obviously some Weiss planning stuff. It's I really want to do deck lists again nowadays. I've been thinking about this a lot, because I feel like I have improved as a player, and not necessarily as a deck builder, because I think just how I am as a person and how I approach just things with a lot of options and data as a person just does not work good with the deck building task. But I feel when it comes to really slowly sifting through that and actually just understanding my decks, and then being I need one of those things. I was talking with Kevin yesterday. We were specifically talking about how some of my approaches result in deck choices that I feel are probably just the best possible deck choice for specifically what I need to happen in this deck, and yet I would feel comfortable saying that most other people would never consider that card because they have it saved as a completely different purpose in a completely different deck. And I do want to talk about this more on the deck, but there's 2 issues with that. The main issue is that I just like making decks that are fun for me. I've been thinking about 4-color Bank Dream, but not with anything normal top end. Just just 4 colors, just batshit insane. Let's go. Yeah, kind of like that. Basically, and the other thing is that obviously I'm just really heavily invested in just English Bank Dream. It's what I spend most of my time. Obviously, I've covered Madoka front and back to cover, translated, and then read upside down. And I still pull out the decks sometimes. The decks that I made that I already showcased on the blog, they're still fun. The whatever the Alina thing is, it's still fun when you play the 3/4 counter and you're no damage, also burn 4, also sack counter. Now you get 3 pings for 1. Enjoy, which happens 1 in 10 games, but it's there's the reason why I published that deck. It's fun when it's not beating you over your ass. The problem is that I think the collective audience for very specific Bang Dream content is both limited and already very well covered. Looking at Teresa's collectibles.
Yes,
Thanks,
yeah.
guys.
Well, it's even like when I did my my Eat 2 Soul build for Bang Dream, like that was probably one of the only things that I hadn't seen covered in Bang Dream. I was like, there's got to be a way of using the Aki and the Akko with the start deck combo. There's got to be a way. And even then, I've recently thought and gone, actually, there's a couple of cards I could do with to improve that deck. Mainly the Katir's Adisa, so you could bond for your toilet times. And I've only got one. I used to collect from original Bang set 1, and I think at some point I must have gone, oh, these are all commons, I don't need these, and just get rid of them. And I'm sitting going, this common is worth about £4 each now. I need these. Crap. I'm fuming. I am absolutely fuming with myself. And I've only got one, and I need 3. And I'm like, crap.
Essential Bang Dream experience, but that's basically the point. Like, I feel at this point, if I'm gonna publish a Bang Dream deck, right, I need it to be really outlandish and really good, or at the very least, I need it to be in a top 8 at regionals. So hey, if we see each other at BCS and I happen to defeat you, just know that you are potentially contributing to another deranged Bang Dream post. I mean,
amazing.
How you live with that is up to you.
To be fair, it's so funny because I was thinking about, obviously, Springfest has just gone, and I was like, oh, I could play something serious, it'd be fine, or I could just play 8-2 Soul Bang Dream, and it would be absolutely hilarious if it does so well. I did it in the end. I ended up playing, what did I play in the end? Oh, Hololive I played. Sure, you know what I mean. I would have felt a lot more content, or even going with both 3-2 Soul or something, I don't know. Just for a meme. And I agree, like it's either, especially in the world of Bang Dream, it's covered so much, because there is so much you can do with it, but I still think there's more.
For example, I haven't seen anyone talk specifically about the Bang Dream anti-SCHWARZ deck.
Oh, the the 2 Soul Door. Is that the one?
No.
Oh.
It's like there is an interesting part, and okay, I will drop this info, right? It's like Gura relies a lot on the Amelia, right?
Yes.
The stock. And we only noticed this because I was playing with Dennis, and repeatedly, over and over again, he was significantly short on stock, as in struggling to do double Gura short of stock, right?
Right.
Which, okay, double Gura still not nice, but still, And I wasn't doing anything to significantly impact that deck. So we were wondering what was happening until we realized that he just wasn't playing out he was not going for the Amelia line in the first place, because I just triple comment.
Oh, you could reverse. Yeah.
And that was not the plan, that was not the intention, but it's not it's not the first time I've played against other SCHWARZ, and it repeatedly enough that I think there's something to it, that if they don't account for the fact that they will not be having that stock from the accelerates, it can fuck them over at the end game. And I feel well, maybe there's something to it. Maybe there is.
Who knows? Well, I guess you'll be playing at BCS and you'll be doing plenty of playtesting prior, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you top cut. It'll be good to see.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't have a BCS top cut yet, and I want one.
Yeah.
I want one.
You want one? I want one.
Give me
please.
one.
Give me one. Well, on that note, we are going to start wrapping this up. Again, Avis, thank you so much for coming on and chatting as always. We're good friends, and we have a good laugh. But I guess before we before we go away, any shout outs from your end?
Shout out to you for having me on here. Thanks for the support. Obviously, WeissTeaTime.com, that's when you can find me. I tweet stuff out occasionally. Otherwise, big shout outs to everyone who's been enabling my Bang Dream testing this summer. Dennis, Kevin, Steve, the rest of the Dutch community, they've been very supportive. So yeah, massive thanks to everyone.
That's great. And thank you, Avis. And again, if you haven't already, guys, make sure you check out the WeissTeaTime. Links are up there and also in the description, so make sure you go to the website. And yeah, if you're ever interested in learning about deck building, about what decks top, things like that, Avis's website has it all there. So yeah, make sure you check that out. But apart from that, we are going to wrap this episode up. So thank you so much for watching or listening wherever you are. Again, if you haven't already, please make sure you follow or subscribe, depending on if you're on Spotify or YouTube. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. And we've got some exciting interviews coming up beyond this. Season 2 is stacked, so I hope you're ready. A few that I say we've got a very experienced judge. We've got a member of Bushy Road International, and of course, as I've already said, we are going to be interviewing Kidani when I go to Japan in November. So I'm very, very excited, and I hope you're looking forward to that interview. But apart from that, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Bye-bye!